So in 2026, the most profitable business you can start might not actually require a single line of code or a college degree.
Right. Or even a laptop, honestly.
Exactly, not even a laptop. In fact, it might be the exact minor annoyance that your neighbors were, just complaining about on local forums this morning.
Oh, totally. It usually is.
Welcome to this deep dive. If you're listening right now, and we are talking directly to you, the learner, our mission today is to cut through the massive, just paralyzing noise of the modern career transition.
Because that noise is seriously deafening right now. I mean, people are staring at this absolute ocean of possibilities.
Yeah, from like artificial intelligence startups all the way to local food trucks.
Right, and that sheer volume of choice just creates total informational overwhelm. You end up doing nothing, right? Because you just don't know where to start.
You just freeze. Which brings us to our source material for today's deep dive. We've got our hands on this highly comprehensive roadmap, and it breaks down 73 profitable small business paths for 2026.
And what makes this document stand out isn't just the huge number of ideas. It's not just a list.
No, it's really a strategic blueprint. This is all about taking back control of your professional trajectory, hitting those ambitious financial targets, and actually constructing a work-life balance that works for you.
But, a list of 73 things is completely useless without a framework to filter them. We are definitely not going to just rattle off a massive list today.
Yeah, that would just be an audio table of contents.
Yeah,
super boring.
Exactly. Instead, we're synthesizing all these opportunities into 5 logical, thematic categories.
Okay, lay those out for us.
So we're looking closely at skill-based expertise, the highly physical trades, the digital frontier, the everyday friction solvers, and finally, the operational blueprint.
The blueprint that ensures your venture actually survives its first year, right?
Right, because the ultimate goal here is to help you, the learner, identify the precise intersection where your current skills, your available capital, and actual market demand all meet.
So if you're listening and feeling completely overwhelmed because, say, you don't know how to code, or you don't have thousands of dollars saved up to buy a storefront.
Don't panic.
Right, don't panic. This material provides multiple backdoors into the economy for you.
Whether you just want a weekend side hustle to aggressively pay down some debt, or you're meticulously plotting a full exit from the corporate world.
The clues for your next chapter are hidden in these pages. But the first step actually happens before you even look at a single business idea.
Yeah, the source material forces this confrontation with reality right out of the gate.
It's kind of brutal, honestly.
It is. We have to start at ground zero, which is your own entrepreneurial DNA. You have to undergo a pretty ruthless self-assessment.
Let's unpack the mechanics of that self-assessment because the guide is incredibly pragmatic here.
It really is. It demands that you take a hard inventory of the skills and credentials you currently hold right now, today.
Give me an example of how that works in practice.
So if you've spent the last 10 years as a CPA for a massive corporate firm, venturing out as a freelance accountant or a fractional CFO is a path of extremely low resistance.
Because you already have the technical knowledge.
Exactly. You just need to change the client structure. But conversely, if your entire career has been in, say, food and beverage management.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, deciding to suddenly launch a digital marketing agency from scratch, that's going to be incredibly painful. You'd be fighting against your own experiential momentum.
You really want to leverage the inertia of your past experience.
Always. But the assessment goes way beyond just what you know how to do. You have to clearly define the architectural goal of the business.
Right, like are you trying to replace a $100,000 full-time salary, or do you just want an extra $1,000 a month to cover a car payment and some groceries?
Because those are two fundamentally different business models.
With totally different unit economics.
Entirely different. I mean, if you need $100,000 a year from a consulting business, you have to work backward.
Doing the math.
Right. How much can you realistically charge per hour or per project? How many clients will it take to hit that gross revenue number?
And crucially, does the week even have enough hours for you to deliver that work and still do the marketing?
And the bookkeeping and the admin tasks.
People always forget the admin tasks.
Always. People often calculate their hourly rate based on a standard 40-hour work week. They completely forget that in a new business, you might only spend 15 hours doing the actual billable work.
Wow, 15 hours.
Yeah, and the other 25 hours, you're just trying to find the next client.
The math really has to survive contact with reality, and part of that reality check is capital.
Capital constraints act as a natural filter.
The guide poses some pretty blunt questions here. Do you need dedicated office space? Are you going to require heavy equipment like commercial-grade landscaping mowers?
Or a customized food truck. Those aren't cheap.
Not at all. Or, on the flip side, can this operation be launched with nothing more than a $10 domain name and a Wi-Fi connection from your living room?
If you have $500 to your name, you are not opening a brick-and-mortar bakery. You're just not.
No, you're looking at service-based arbitrage where your primary investment is just your time.
Right. But even if you have the skills, the time, and the capital, there's one final unyielding filter the source insists upon.
A hyperlocal market analysis.
Yes. It's the concept of a supply and demand check.
The source uses this great example of a boat cleaning business. If you start a boat cleaning service, you obviously need a coast.
Or a massive lake, yeah.
Right. Or if you want to build a side hustle as a language interpreter,
Yeah.
you need a diverse, multilingual community.
It's all about identifying deficits in your immediate environment. You literally have to look around your town and ask, is there a severe dearth of dependable landscapers?
You know, the ones who actually show up when they say they will.
Exactly. Or, on the flip side, is there an absolute glut of wedding photographers who are just undercutting each other's prices to the bottom?
Wait, I actually want to challenge a cultural narrative here.
Yep.
Based on what we're reading.
Okay, go for it.
We are constantly told to just follow your passion. Right. The prevailing wisdom is that if you build something you deeply love, the money will naturally follow.
Ah, yes. The passion myth.
So does this source material suggest that passion is enough? Or are we required to be coldly, strictly analytical about this supply and demand math?
It's pretty definitive. Operating a business based purely on passion without a rigorous local market analysis isn't just risky.
What is it then?
It's like trying to run a highly sophisticated software program on the completely wrong operating system.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
It doesn't matter how beautifully clean the code is or how much you personally believe in the software, the environment physically cannot process it.
So starting a business without local market analysis is like trying to sell premium snow shovels in Florida.
Perfect example. Great product, totally wrong zip code. The market honestly does not care about your internal passion.
That's harsh but true.
The market only cares if you can solve a friction point it's currently experiencing.
So is passion just totally irrelevant then?
No, not irrelevant at all. Passion is the fuel.
Okay, the fuel. Explain that.
When you're awake at 2:00 a.m. trying to reconcile a broken ledger, or your main supplier falls through and you're scrambling to fix an order, passion is the only thing that keeps you from quitting.
That makes sense. It keeps you in the game.
Right. But the market analysis, that's the steering wheel. Without the steering wheel, it doesn't matter how much high-octane fuel you have in the tank. You are going to slam into a wall.
So the intersection of your existing skills and a verified local market deficit, that is the sweet spot.
Exactly. Passion provides the stamina, but the market provides the direction.
That makes the final foundational choice, the format, much clearer. You have to decide between the digital, location-independent model and the physical brick-and-mortar community hub.
And that comes down to knowing your own operational psychology. Some people thrive in a purely remote environment, just managing spreadsheets and digital clients.
While others will totally wither away without face-to-face interaction.
Right. They need the physical footprint of a local shop.
Okay, so once you've passed your ideas through those filter skills, capital, market deficit, and format, the guide moves into specific business sectors.
Let's dive into the first major category. It relies heavily on intellectual capital and regulatory compliance rather than physical goods.
We can call this first category the trust economy.
I like that. The trust economy.
These are businesses built on a foundation of high-level expertise, stringent certification, and absolute client trust. So we're talking financial services, property management, and advisory roles.
The barrier to entry in the trust economy is often an exam or a license, and that creates a very valuable protective moat around your business.
Let's take financial services as an example. The source extensively covers the Certified Public Accountant, or CPA, route.
Yeah, if you hold a CPA license, the avenues for monetization are vast. It's way more than just processing tax returns in April.
Right. Small businesses desperately need fractional CFOs. They need someone to construct their balance sheets, manage complex payroll tax compliance,
and provide strategic financial forecasting. The unit economics of a freelance CPA are incredible.
because your overhead is essentially zero.
Right, exactly, zero overhead, but your hourly billing rate is astronomical due to the specialized knowledge.
But What if you aren't a CPA?
Well, the source material actually notes that you can still enter the tax preparation space through educational prerequisites.
Really? How so?
There are massive tax preparation franchises that offer these intensive seminars to train you on the basics of consumer tax filing.
Oh, so you don't need a 4-year accounting degree to start.
Nope. And beyond pure accounting, there's business consulting. This is a massive expansion area.
Consulting is huge right now. You're
Yeah.
stepping in to help new entities navigate their launch phases, right?
Yeah, drafting business plans, conducting that market research we just discussed, setting up their initial supply chains.
And for those with corporate executive backgrounds, there's a highly lucrative market in guiding organizations through restructuring or preparing them for acquisition.
But here is the critical operational detail the source highlights for consultants: meticulous time tracking.
Because you're selling your intellectual bandwidth.
Exactly. Every unbilled quarter hour is pure lost revenue. You have to track everything.
That flows right into financial planning and advising, helping individuals structure their retirement accounts, manage college funds, wealth generation.
But to do this legally and ethically as a certified financial planner, a CFP, you have to complete rigorous coursework and pass a daunting board exam.
But that certificate acts as an absolute seal of credibility.
It proves you've met a regulatory standard, which justifies a recurring management fee on the portfolios you advise.
Now, for a much faster, lower-cost entry into this trust economy, the source highlights notary public services.
Oh, this is a great one. In the vast majority of jurisdictions, becoming a notary requires passing a pretty straightforward state exam and clearing a background check.
And the startup costs are basically negligible, like a stamp and a ledger.
Right. But the monetization comes from specializing in things like real estate loan signings.
Where you can charge significant fees to travel to a client's home and walk them through closing documents.
Yes. Now, let's talk about the franchise model, because the guide offers this as an alternative if you want to skip the entire foundational building phase.
Buying a franchise means you're essentially purchasing a proven business algorithm.
The market research is done, the brand identity already exists, the operational software is pre-configured.
And what's wild is that the source lists franchises you can launch for under $10,000.
Really? Like what?
Brands like Dream Vacations, Cruise Planners, or Jazzercise Inc.
Wow. So that 10 grand isn't just buying a logo.
No, it's buying risk mitigation. You're paying for the franchisor's historical data on what actually works and what doesn't.
That's a really smart shortcut. Okay, moving from abstract financial structures to the physical manifestations of wealth, the roadmap heavily emphasizes real estate and property services.
Becoming a licensed real estate agent is the traditional path: coursework, state exam, relying on commission.
But the mechanics of property management are fascinating as a recurring revenue model.
Yeah, property management is a brilliant structural pivot. You aren't just selling houses, you're managing the logistical reality of owning them.
Let's look at how this actually functions. Let's say an investor buys a duplex,
Okay.
but they have a full-time job and absolutely no desire to deal with tenants.
None.
So they hire you. You handle the marketing, the background checks, lease enforcement, and rent collection.
And in exchange, you take roughly, what, 8 to 12% of the gross monthly rent.
Exactly. And the reason they gladly hand over that percentage is because of the 3.0 AM plumbing emergency.
Yes. The property manager is the human shield.
A literal human shield between the property owner and the chaotic reality of maintaining a physical building.
You're the one who has a network of reliable plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs on speed dial.
The owner is just buying the luxury of never having to think about a leaking roof.
You are monetizing their desire for peace of mind.
Exactly. And adjacent to this is the home inspection industry. The source points out a critical nuance here, though.
What's that?
You cannot just understand how a house from 1950 was built. The building materials industry is constantly evolving.
Oh, right. New technologies.
A modern home inspector has to deeply understand the chemical off-gassing of new wood composites, the specific installation requirements of highly efficient heat pumps.
And modern carbon monoxide hazards.
Your knowledge base must constantly update, or your inspections become a liability.
Which flows perfectly into home energy auditing. Homeowners are universally desperate to reduce their utility bills right now.
Oh, totally. And with specialized training, you conduct granular audits of a home's thermal envelope.
Finding where the heat is escaping, calculating the efficiency of their current HVAC system.
And projecting the exact financial savings of upgrading to solar panels or better insulation.
You can monetize the audit itself, or if you hold the necessary contractor licenses, you can monetize the installation of the upgrades you just recommended.
It's a built-in upsell. That brings us to the final pillar of the trust economy, the coaching and advising sector.
The source material outlines a massive spectrum here. Life coaches, career coaches, nutritional advisors, personal trainers, private athletic coaches, academic tutors.
And the technical requirements vary wildly across these roles.
Yeah, a life coach helping someone reclaim their work-life balance doesn't legally require a certification, though holding credentials from a recognized coaching federation definitely helps establish trust.
Right. But career coaches step in to reconstruct resumes for recent grads or professionals attempting a midlife pivot.
Nutritional advisors help clients navigate the absolute minefield of modern diet trends, though the source strictly delineates this from the medical role of a registered dietitian, which requires a medical degree.
That's a very important legal distinction.
Very important. Personal trainers must hold gym certifications to ensure they understand kinesiology and don't physically injure their clients.
Tutors are hired for specialized academic intervention like algebra, pre-calculus, college, essay prep.
Even private athletic coaches, teaching the mechanics of a baseball pitch or a tennis serve, can build a lucrative roster.
The common denominator across all these roles is the transfer of specialized knowledge to achieve a specific outcome.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because look at the modern landscape.
Mm-hmm.
We are living in a world overflowing with free information.
True.
There are millions of hours of free workout plans on YouTube. There are incredibly sophisticated free financial calculators and budgeting apps, endless blogs on how to write a resume.
Yep, it's all out there.
If all this knowledge is available for $0 at the click of a button, why is this entire sector of the trust economy booming?
It's a great question.
Why are people willingly paying top dollar for a career coach or a financial planner?
That paradox is basically the defining characteristic of our current era. We are completely, hopelessly drowning in information, but we are utterly starved for tailored application.
Starved for application.
Yes, the clients hiring these professionals are not paying for the raw data. The data is a commodity.
It's
Right. They are paying for curation, accountability, and psychological safety.
psychological safety. Let's break that down for the learner.
Consider the home inspector or the certified financial planner. Yes, you can read a dozen articles on what to look for in a foundation, or watch a video on how to allocate assets in an index fund.
Sure.
But the stakes are incredibly high. If you misinterpret that free information and buy a house with the structurally compromised foundation,
That's a disaster.
or you allocate your portfolio incorrectly right before a market downturn, the financial consequences are catastrophic.
The client is paying a premium to a certified expert to ensure they do not make a disastrous, life-altering mistake.
Exactly. They are buying a safety net.
And with the coaching side, fitness, career, life coaching, it's about the noise of individual context.
What do you mean by that?
A generic YouTube workout plan doesn't know that you have a lingering rotator cuff injury from 10 years ago, or that you only have 35 minutes free on Tuesdays.
Right. The video just says do 50 push-ups.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A career coach looks at the messy, highly specific reality of your past 10 years of employment and says, forget the generic advice. Here is the exact, customized trajectory for your specific life.
Free information simply cannot provide bespoke accountability.
That is the essence of the trust economy. You are selling the custom application of knowledge.
If you prefer to deal with the physical world rather than the abstract world of advice and ledgers, the roadmap pivots dramatically into our next category.
The tangible world.
Yes. This is where we move from what you know to what you can physically build, repair, or serve. Trade skills, repair services, and the hospitality sector.
This is the ultimate undownloadable economy. You can't email someone a haircut, a boat cleaning, or a hot meal from a food truck.
I love that phrase, the undownloadable economy. And the source material is incredibly robust here, beginning with manual labor and construction.
General construction framing additions, hanging drywall, installing fixtures is just in perpetual demand.
But the strategic insight the guide offers for this sector isn't just about swinging a hammer. It's about the mechanics of scalability.
Explain that scalability.
Well, if you're a solo carpenter, your income is strictly capped by your physical exhaustion. There are only so many hours you can swing that hammer.
Right.
The real wealth in construction comes from building a network of reliable tradespeople. You become the general contractor.
You secure the client, you manage the timeline, and you subcontract the specialized labor.
Your business scales because you're managing the system, not just executing the labor yourself.
Landscaping follows a really similar trajectory. A teenager can push a mower, But building a landscaping enterprise requires moving into high-margin, specialized services.
The guide details this seasonal rhythm: spring tidying and mulch installation, the relentless summer mowing schedule, and the heavy fall leaf removal.
But the massive profit centers are in things like designing and installing complex subterranean irrigation lines.
Or blowing out those same sprinkler systems with commercial air compressors before the first winter freeze so the pipes don't burst.
It expands into hardscaping, too. Building retaining walls, installing highly durable artificial turf, or constructing custom fencing.
House painting is another perennial need, but the source warns that it's deceptively complex. Success here requires technical mastery of the preparation phase.
Because anyone can roll paint on a wall.
Exactly. But a professional understands the meticulous art of masking off trims, properly laying drop cloths to protect hardwood.
And knowing exactly which chemical compositions of paint and primer will actually survive specific outdoor humidity levels or extreme winter climates.
Carpentry presents an avenue for high-end boutique monetization. While general framing is volume work, custom residential carpentry allows for premium pricing.
Like building bespoke kitchen cabinets, built-in library shelves, or even intricate gallery frames and hand-carved art pieces.
The client is paying for artisanship, not just utility, and we have to highlight the licensed trades: electrical work and plumbing.
The barrier to entry here is super high. You cannot just watch a YouTube tutorial.
No, you must complete formal classes, log thousands of hours in an apprenticeship, and pass grueling municipal licensing exams.
But once you hold that master license, you possess an economic superpower. You can hire apprentices under your license and build a whole fleet of service vehicles.
Moving services are also outlined, showing a clear path from a hyper-local operation, just helping renters move apartments with a single box truck to scaling into a multi-state logistics operation.
The repair and maintenance sector is equally vital. Things break constantly. A certified mechanic shop builds a fierce local loyalty if they simply operate with transparency.
And appliance repair is specifically highlighted by the source as an incredibly resilient path.
Let's dig into the mechanics of appliance repair. Why is that such a goldmine right now?
It really comes down to the complexity of modern machines. 15 years ago, a washing machine was mostly mechanical. You could tinker with it.
Today, your refrigerator has a touchscreen and a localized Wi-Fi network.
Right. When it breaks, the homeowner is completely helpless.
So what's the play here?
The guide suggests that a savvy entrepreneur can secure direct contracts with major appliance retailers, like a Best Buy or a local hardware store.
Oh, that's smart. So when the store sells a warranty and the customer calls in a claim,
The store dispatches you as their contracted repair technician. You have a guaranteed pipeline of customers handed to you by the retailer.
you don't even have to market yourself to the end consumer.
Exactly. Now, bicycle repair presents a unique challenge because in many climates, it's strictly seasonal.
Yeah, a repair shop can thrive from April to September, but revenue falls off a cliff in November when it starts snowing.
But the guide offers a brilliant structural pivot here. Utilize your square footage during the winter to offer premium bicycle storage.
Wait, really? People pay for that?
Oh, yeah. You charge the client to store their expensive road bike in a climate-controlled space, and you perform a full mechanical tune-up over the winter.
And when spring arrives, they pick up a perfectly tuned machine. That's genius. You've converted dead winter space into recurring revenue.
The detail provided in these physical trades is just astounding. Take boat cleaning. It isn't just hosing off a deck.
Marine environments are brutal. You're dealing with saltwater corrosion, barnacles, fragile fiberglass hulls.
It requires marine-grade, eco-friendly solvents that won't violate local marina environmental regulations.
Yeah.
You literally have to build trust with the marina master just to get access to the docks.
Car detailing has evolved too, from the corner car wash to high-end mobile services. You pack a specialized van with your own water supply, generator, and commercial vacuums, and you travel to the client's office park.
You're detailing your vehicle while they work.
Electronics repair capitalizes on our absolute dependence on screens. If you understand microsoldering and circuit boards, you can repair cracked tablets, dead smartphone batteries, malfunctioning laptops.
And the really lucrative evolution of this is buying dead tech in bulk for pennies on the dollar, refurbishing it with spare parts, and flipping it on the secondary market for a massive margin.
Furniture restoration is another fascinating mechanism. Many people focus purely on upholstery, just replacing the fabric.
But the source points out that vintage furniture almost always suffers from structural fatigue. A chair has a loose joint, A table has severe water rings on the wood.
If you learn basic carpentry and wood refinishing, you don't just replace the fabric. You reinforce the frame, sand out the water damage, and restain the wood.
You have just doubled or tripled the ticket price of the job through a natural, highly logical upsell.
Rug cleaning requires deep material science. You have to understand the difference between treating a cheap synthetic runner versus an antique, hand-woven wool heirloom that will bleed dyes if the wrong chemical is applied.
You have to master enzyme treatments to eliminate complex pet odors. And jewelry making and repair demands microscopic precision.
Heating metals to specific temperatures, setting fragile stones without cracking them, operating engraving machinery.
The final wing of this tangible world is hospitality. The source lays out the path of a private chef. This isn't just cooking, it is deep dietary management.
You're hired by busy professionals or families with strict nutritional needs. Celiac disease, complex allergies, high-performance athletic diets. You manage the sourcing, the prep, and the cleanup.
Operating a bed and breakfast or leveraging a property for Airbnb involves the meticulous curation of a physical space to generate nightly revenue.
And catering operates on an entirely different scale. Preparing food for a wedding of 200 people requires military-level logistics.
You're managing a temporary kitchen in a tent, coordinating a fleet of servers, ensuring food safety temperatures are maintained during transport.
Food trucks offer a brilliant workaround to the crushing overhead of a traditional restaurant.
You aren't paying $20,000 a month for a prime downtown lease.
You take your customized kitchen directly to the demand, parking outside corporate offices at lunch or partnering with local breweries on the weekends.
And the source even touches on opening your own brewery, but issues a stark warning. The craft beer market is fiercely crowded.
You can't just like drinking beer.
No, you need a deep education in brewing sciences, yeast fermentation, and a microscopic understanding of your local market's palate before you invest in stainless steel vats.
All of these trades, from the carpenter to the private chef, share a distinct economic characteristic: the incredible resilience of these businesses. In an era where AI threatens digital jobs, trade skills and physical repairers have a moat around them.
They possess an incredibly deep physical moat. They are inherently AI-proof because they require the manipulation of atoms, not just the manipulation of data.
An algorithm cannot unclog the grease trap in a commercial kitchen. ChatGPT cannot install a new carburetor in your car.
Exactly. Furthermore, the economic engine driving these physical businesses is the art of the upsell. We saw it with the bicycle storage and the furniture restoration.
The most successful operators in this space don't view a transaction as an isolated event. They analyze the client's ecosystem and anticipate the very next point of friction.
If you are already at a house painting the exterior trim, you notice the gutters are overflowing, you offer to clean them while your ladders are already deployed.
You are compounding your revenue without acquiring a new customer, anticipating the next logical need. That is how a physical business survives.
But now we are going to pivot completely.
We are leaving the hyperlocal, atom-based world, and we are stepping onto the digital canvas.
This category has zero physical borders. These businesses leverage the architecture of the internet to scale infinitely without geographical constraints. We're exploring content, tech, and the massive creator economy.
This is the realization of the laptop lifestyle. But the mechanics are rigorous. The roadmap divides this into creative services and digital products. Let's examine creative services first.
Content and editorial contracting is foundational. Every single company on earth needs words.
They need ghostwriters for their CEO's LinkedIn posts, copywriters to construct high-converting landing pages, developmental editors to shape long-form reports.
Graphic design goes hand in hand with this. Designers aren't just making pretty pictures, they are architecting visual brand identities.
Designing user interfaces for apps and formatting complex newsletters. Web development is the backbone of the digital canvas.
A business literally doesn't exist today without a digital storefront. Taking intensive boot camps to master coding languages allows you to build everything from a simple portfolio site to a massive e-commerce platform processing thousands of transactions a day.
PR and marketing agencies help businesses figure out how to actually drive human eyeballs to those websites through media outreach and crafted brand narratives.
Visual and audio arts have become highly monetizable digital assets. Photography spans from local senior portraits and weddings to high-end editorial spreads.
Videography is essential for any brand trying to survive on social media. They need cinematic product launches and engaging interview cuts.
And audio editing is specifically called out in the text due to the explosive growth of podcasting.
If you can master digital audio workstations, compress files, balance EQ levels, remove background noise,
Yeah.
there is a massive market of brands who want a podcast but have no idea how to make it sound professional.
That leads directly into the core of the creator economy. The guide looks at starting a YouTube channel, and I really appreciate how brutally realistic it is about the unit economics.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the cultural myth is that you post a video, go viral, and buy a mansion.
The mathematical reality is sobering. You monetize through programmatic ad revenue, selling branded merchandise, and securing direct sponsorships.
But the average creator, after YouTube takes its hefty 45% cut of the ad revenue, earns roughly $1 to $5 per 1,000 views.
You need millions of consistent views to generate a full-time income purely from ads.
The math on TikTok is even more challenging regarding direct ad revenue, which is why TikTok creators focus heavily on affiliate marketing and driving their audience off the platform to purchase physical merchandise or digital products.
But the most fascinating evolution in this space is UGC, user-generated content.
UGC completely subverts the traditional creator model. With YouTube or TikTok, you have to spend years building a massive, loyal audience.
With UGC, you don't need an audience at all.
Let's break down how this works. Brands have realized that modern consumers are entirely blind to highly polished, studio-produced advertisements.
If a video looks like a commercial, we scroll past it instantly. We just do not trust it.
We trust authenticity, or at least the aesthetic of authenticity.
Exactly. So brands will hire you, a completely normal person with a smartphone, to record a vertical video sitting in your car or standing in your kitchen, talking naturally about how much you love their new skincare product or their new app.
You shoot the video, you send the file to the brand, they pay you a flat fee of a few $100s, and they run the video as an ad on their own channels.
You are essentially a freelance actor providing the aesthetic of an organic, authentic recommendation. It bypasses the agonizing grind of audience building entirely.
Now, if you do want to build an audience, the guide heavily advocates for digital products. Creating an online course is one of the highest margin businesses on earth.
You create the asset once, and you can sell it infinitely. But the mechanics of launching a course dictate its success. You don't just spend 3 months filming a course in a vacuum.
The guide suggests testing the market demand first. You offer a free webinar or a short email series.
If people engage, you validate the demand. Only then do you build the full curriculum, host it on a platform like Teachable or Udemy, and drive traffic to it.
Writing and publishing an ebook follows a similar structure. You leverage Amazon's Kindle Direct publishing platform, you write the manuscript, hire freelance proofreaders and cover designers to ensure it looks professional.
And rely on digital marketing, being a guest on podcasts, running targeted Amazon ads to drive sales.
Paid memberships on platforms like Substack or Patreon offer a different model. Predictable, recurring monthly revenue. You place your most valuable premium content behind a paywall for your most dedicated followers.
Domain investing is a highly specialized digital hustle mentioned in the text. This involves analyzing market trends to predict which web addresses will be highly sought after in the future.
Purchasing them for a few dollars and holding them like digital real estate until a company wants that specific name and pays you thousands for it.
The source strongly recommends formal training, like Domain Academy, because without understanding the underlying metrics of search volume and keyword value, you are just gambling.
And finally, we have the pure digital arbitrage plays: affiliate marketing and drop shipping.
Affiliate marketing is straightforward. You promote another company's software or physical product using a unique tracking link. When someone clicks your link and buys, you get a commission.
The guide outlines pay-per-sale, pay-per-click, and pay-per-lead, which is just getting someone to submit their email address for a quote.
Dropshipping is often pitched as the ultimate passive income, but the mechanics reveal a very tight margin of error. Let's explore a dropshipping transaction.
Okay, lay it out.
You build a beautiful e-commerce storefront selling specialty coffee mugs. A customer buys a mug from your site for $25. You do not have a warehouse. You do not own any mugs.
The moment the order comes in, your software automatically purchases that mug from a supplier in another country for $10.
The supplier packages it and ships it directly to your customer, slapping your brand's logo on the box.
You essentially act as a digital middleman. You pocket the $15 difference, but wait, if I'm looking at this critically, aren't we ignoring the cost of customer acquisition?
Yes.
I have to challenge this model based on what we know about the digital landscape. If the profit margin on that mug is $15, but you had to spend $18 on Facebook and Instagram ads just to get that single customer to click your link and buy, your business is bleeding money on every single transaction.
That is the exact trap of dropshipping. Because you have zero barrier to entry and zero proprietary product, you are competing globally against millions of other dropshippers selling the exact same mug from the exact same supplier.
The only differentiator is who is better at running digital ads.
Yeah,
It becomes a race to the bottom on margins.
exactly.
Which brings up a larger question about this entire digital canvas section.
Yeah.
We're looking at a market in 2026 where everyone wants to be a YouTuber, everyone's trying to launch an online course, everyone has a drop shipping store.
Yeah.
Isn't this entire ecosystem completely, hopelessly oversaturated? Can a beginner actually enter this digital space today and generate meaningful revenue, or did they miss the boat 5 years ago?
The era of generalist, broad-reach digital success is largely over for the beginner. You are not going to start a generic lifestyle vlog today and reach 5 million subscribers. The saturation is real.
So what's the play?
The roadmap points to a fundamental evolution in where digital profitability lies. The future is not in broad audiences, it is in hyper-niche micro-communities.
How does a micro-community function economically?
Let's look at the online course or the paid membership model. If you possess a highly specific, deeply technical skill, for example, let's say you know how to build advanced automated Excel financial models specifically for boutique logistics companies.
That is an incredibly narrow niche.
Exactly. You don't need a million YouTube subscribers. If you can gather an audience of just 1,000 logistics professionals globally, and they each pay you $50 a month for access to your templates, your tutorials, and a private community forum,
You are generating $50,000 a month.
you are dominating a micro niche. You don't need to be famous, you just need to be overwhelmingly valuable to a very small, specific group of people.
That completely changes the math. You aren't trying to capture the ocean, you're just trying to own a very specific, highly profitable puddle.
Exactly. So we've explored the trust economy, the tangible trades, and the infinite scale of the digital canvas. Now we are going to bridge the gap between grand ambitions and daily reality.
This next category is what I call the friction solvers. These are the everyday niches and personal services. These are businesses with incredibly low barriers to entry that are entirely focused on removing minor annoyances from people's lives.
This is an incredibly accessible category. The core engine of a friction solver business is the pet economy, home and personal services, and logistics.
Let's examine the pet economy first. Dog walking is experiencing massive growth, particularly in dense urban environments where professionals are returning to offices.
But the mechanics of profitability here require density.
Right, if you are charging $25 to walk a dog for 30 minutes, but it takes you 45 minutes to drive across town to the next client, your hourly rate collapses.
Exactly. The most successful operators build hyper-local density. They want 10 clients in the same apartment building or the same subdivision.
And they master the upsell by adding convenience, turning on specific lights before the owner gets home, bringing in packages, administering medications.
Pet sitting and boarding offer near zero startup costs if you are hosting the animal in your own home or staying at the client's house. You are monetizing trust and reliability.
Pet grooming. Whether a mobile van that comes to the driveway or a physical drop-off location caters to an absolute certainty. People will spend exorbitant amounts of money on the comfort of their pets.
Then we move into home and personal services. Cleaning services are universally needed, but the strategic decision is choosing your target market.
You could focus purely on residential homes, dealing with individual families. Or you could pivot to commercial cleaning targeting office buildings that need vacuuming and trash removal at 10:00 p.m.
Or retail blocks where you service 5 adjacent stores every morning before they open, eliminating your travel time completely.
Professional organizing is a fascinating friction solver. It is spatial planning for chaotic environments.
You are hired to systematically tear down and rebuild a disastrously cluttered garage, a chaotic children's playroom, or consult with small businesses on how to optimize their physical stockrooms so employees aren't wasting 10 minutes looking for inventory.
At-home daycare taps into a massive societal pain point. The waitlists for commercial childcare facilities are years long, and the source notes that many parents actually prefer the intimacy of a home environment over a large institution.
The demand is limitless, but the regulatory reality is intense. You have to navigate strict state guidelines regarding adult-to-child ratios, secure specific liability insurance, and often modify your home to meet safety codes.
Crafting gift baskets sounds like a hobby, but as a business, it requires tight niche targeting. You aren't just throwing generic soaps in a basket.
You collaborate with local artisans to create hyper-specific, place-based baskets that real estate agents buy in bulk to give to new homeowners.
Or you curate high-end baskets specifically for equestrian enthusiasts. You're solving the friction of corporate or specialized gifting.
The personal care sector includes hairstyling, barbershops, and nail technicians. These absolutely require formal cosmetology schooling and state licensing to legally touch a client.
Massage therapy is heavily emphasized with a warning. You must have rigorous certification in human anatomy and physiology. If you apply deep tissue pressure without understanding muscle groups, you can severely injure a client and face massive liability.
Finally, we look at logistics and arbitrage. Storage facilities are essentially real estate plays. If you own an empty plot of land on the edge of town, you can monetize it by throwing up basic fencing and charging people a monthly fee to park their massive RVs, boats, and campers that violate their neighborhood HOA rules.
Independent car service and rideshare offer multiple levels of entry. You can drive for Uber or Lyft, turning your car into immediate cash flow, but the platform takes a significant percentage of your labor.
The guide points to higher margin alternatives, managing a private, high-end fleet for wealthy clients needing airport transfers or utilizing peer-to-peer rental platforms like Turo.
Turo is essentially Airbnb for your vehicle. If your car sits in a driveway 5 days a week, you rent it out to travelers, converting a depreciating liability into an income-producing asset.
Online reselling is the classic arbitrage hustle. It requires an encyclopedic knowledge of specific product values. You scour eBay, Facebook Marketplace, estate sales, and thrift stores looking for incredibly underpriced items, vintage clothing, discontinued electronics, wear books, and you flip them on specialized digital platforms to collectors willing to pay market value.
And interpreting or translating services capitalize on linguistic skills. With roughly 40 hours of specialized training, you can become certified to translate critical legal documents or provide real-time interpretation for medical appointments or international business negotiations.
When you look at the entirety of this friction solver category, a very distinct economic pattern emerges. You are not creating new technology. You are not inventing a new paradigm.
These businesses are like the WD-40 of daily life. They don't reinvent the wheel. They just make the wheel spin a whole lot smoother for people who are out of time.
You are engaging in an arbitrage of hours. The fundamental equation of these businesses is that the client has discretionary income, but they are entirely out of time or entirely out of patience. You have the time and the willingness to execute the task. You are monetizing their lack of bandwidth.
If you want to start a business in this sector tomorrow, you don't need a complex strategy. You just need to listen to your community. When you look at your neighborhood forum, what is the mundane thing everyone is complaining about? Are they furious that the city stopped collecting yard waste? That is a localized friction point. Rent a trailer, offer yard waste removal for $50 a load, and you have a business.
Identifying the friction and providing the immediate solution. It is the most resilient form of entrepreneurship. Now, we have mapped out the entire landscape. We have journeyed through the 73 ideas across the trust economy, the tangible trades, the digital canvas, and the friction solvers. But identifying the idea is only 10% of the battle.
Which brings us to the most critical phase of this entire deep dive. How do you ensure that the brilliant idea you just selected doesn't become another failed statistical footnote? Because the reality is, businesses die every day. To survive, you have to transition from a dreamer to an operator. We are looking at the final section of our roadmap, the blueprint. This is the unglamorous, ironclad operational checklist for survival.
This is where the romanticized vision of being your own boss collides head-on with the brutal reality of administrative mechanics. The source material is unforgiving here. It lays out a mandatory sequence. Step 1, create a formal business plan. This is not a vague vision board. This is a rigorous document outlining your exact target market, your competitive analysis, your marketing strategy, and critically, your financial projections. You have to map out your cash flow month by month. If you ever attempt to secure a small business loan, a commercial bank will literally laugh you out of the room without this document.
Step 2 is deciding on a legal structure. The vocabulary here can be intimidating. Are you operating as a sole proprietorship? Are you forming a limited liability company, an LLC? A partnership? A C corporation? The guide is adamant that you must not guess on this step. You need to consult a business attorney and a CPA because your choice dictates how you are taxed and your level of personal risk.
Let's explain the mechanism of why that legal structure matters. If you operate as a sole proprietorship, there is no legal distinction between you and the business. If your new landscaping company accidentally drops a tree on a client's roof and the client sues you for $500,000, they can come after your personal savings account. They can come after your house. An LLC, a limited liability company, acts as a legal firewall. It separates your personal assets from the business's liabilities. If the LLC gets sued, they can only access the assets owned by the LLC. Your personal house is protected.
That firewall is absolute necessity. And that concept of separation bleeds directly into the next and arguably most important operational rule in the entire text: keeping finances separate. It sounds painfully obvious, but failing to do this destroys countless new ventures. You must go to a bank and open a dedicated business checking account. You must secure a dedicated business credit card.
The mechanical rule here is absolute. All revenue flows into the business account. All business expenses are paid from the business account. How do you buy your personal groceries? You transfer money from the business account to your personal account, paying yourself a formal salary or an owner's draw. You never, ever use the business debit card to pay for your personal Netflix subscription or your home electricity bill.
So what does this all mean? Let me challenge this level of rigid bureaucracy for a moment. I look at this blueprint: the formal LLC filing, the separate bank accounts, the meticulous tracking of receipts, the corporate structures, and it feels overwhelmingly heavy. Do we really need all this corporate bureaucracy, LOCs, separate credit cards, business plans, just for a simple dog walking or online reselling side hustle? Isn't that overkill?
It is a totally valid hesitation, but the answer from the operational standpoint is an unwavering yes. You need the machinery. There are two distinct reasons why. First is the mathematical reality of tax law. If you mix personal and business finances, buying dog leashes with your personal card, depositing client cash directly into your personal checking account, you create what accountants call commingling of funds. When tax season arrives, or worse, if the IRS audits you, untangling that mess will cost you thousands of dollars in accounting fees and potential penalties. The IRS does not care that it was just a casual side hustle. If it generates income, it is a business subject to strict code.
The tax nightmare is a strong deterrent. What's the second reason?
The psychological shift. When you execute this blueprint, when you file the paperwork for the LLC, when you sit down with the banker to open that business checking account, something profound happens to your internal posture. You are no longer someone trying out a hobby on the weekends. You have formally declared yourself a business owner. It forces you to treat the endeavor with a level of gravity and respect. And the reality of the market is that if you treat your operation with professional respect, your clients are infinitely more likely to do the same.
The bureaucracy forces you to take yourself seriously. I understand that. Once the structure is in place, the guide moves to planning operational needs. Is it the logistical reality of how the work gets done? Do you need to hire part-time staff immediately?
Yeah.
What specific scheduling or invoicing software will you use to manage clients? Do you have the physical equipment required to deliver the service efficiently on day one?
Then you must develop a brand and marketing strategy. It's not enough to just exist, you have to be found. This means designing a clean visual identity, optimizing your web presence for local SEO so that when someone Googles plumber near me, your name appears, and creating a content strategy to prove your expertise before the client even calls you.
Operating within the law is a constant requirement. This isn't just the initial LLC filing. It means securing local municipal permits, understanding complex city labor laws the moment you hire your first employee, and ensuring you are compliant with data privacy regulations if you are collecting customer emails.
And the final piece of the blueprint is building a support network. Entrepreneurship is deeply isolating. The guide stresses that you cannot operate in a vacuum. You need to actively seek out mentors who have survived the path you are on. You need to build relationships with your local chamber of commerce, perhaps invest in paid mastermind groups with other founders, and maintain ties with former colleagues who can offer objective advice. You need a sounding board.
We have covered an immense landscape today. We started at ground zero, mapping the DNA of your current skills against the